When working with big data sets like the ones we just brought in, it's really important to set up secondary indexing. Secondary indexes are core to working with RethinkDB, and let's take a look at them now. So let's say we wanted to query an invoice by customer email. Now, what a lot of people might do is they might just put email as one of the top-level attributes on their document, but you certainly don't need to. What you can do instead is you can set up a secondary index. And to do this, I'll zoom in so we can see this better. You just say index create. In fact, here's a list of all the index things we can do. For now, I'll create an index. I'm going to give it the name of email. And then I'm going to tell it where to find it. And I'll use r.row, which is syntax you haven't seen just yet. r.row is basically a shortcut function to say the current document's customer email attribute, or r.row customer email. I'll be working with this more later on. There's also a couple of ways I could have created this index. I could have specified this using an inline function if I wanted to. I'll show you that in just a bit. For now, let's create our new index. And if we scroll down here, we can see the result returned to us from RethinkDB. And hooray, it's been created. That's exciting. So how do we actually use this thing? Well, for point of comparison, let's do a quick filter for a customer's email. And for that, I'll just use the filter function. RethinkDB doesn't automatically see an index and say, aha, I will use that in this query. You actually have to specify it. What I'm doing here is I just want to create a comparison. So I want to filter by customer email, and I'm going to use .eq and then use one of the emails that I have. And you can see right here, there's the result for our invoice with, or invoices, I should say, with the customer and their email. And you can see that it executed in 558 milliseconds with 13 rows returned. So keep that in mind. It's just about a half of a second. So let's use that index. And to do this, we're going to use the special getAll. GetAll is specific for working with secondary indexes. And here I'll just specify the value and the index that getAll needs to use, in this case, email. All right, keep your eye on that, 558 milliseconds. And if I run it, boom, 10 milliseconds. That is pretty darn fast. And that is the power of secondary indexes. If we go down here to the sales table where I created the secondary index, you can see it is now listed here as a secondary index on our table. People see this kind of performance boost, well, they want to throw indexes all over the place, but you have to be careful because the more indexes you have down, well, the less write performance you're going to have. So for a table like sales, not really a big deal, but you have trade-offs. That's all I'm trying to say, and you'll have to choose from whatever works for you. You can also pass in additional values here. You can have as many keys as you want passed in. So here, in 96 milliseconds, we returned all the orders for the 2 emails that you see on screen. But getAll is not the only thing we can use. We can also use between. This will retrieve all invoices with emails between Henderson and Ubaldo. And imagine this is all the emails that are H and J, K, and so on. Well, it might not be useful for emails. It is very useful for a number of other things, including numeric values and so on. Secondary indexes are useful for all kinds of things. In fact, you can order by them. Here, I'm just going to say order by the index email, and you get very speedy sorts. And if we scan down the document here, just to be sure, yep, there it is. Sorts by AA, Aliyah. So that is obviously sorted correctly. If we wanted to do this in descending fashion, you use r.desc. That is how you do a descending sort. You have to tell RethinkDB to do it in a descending fashion. Scanning down the document to be sure, and yep, Zula Sauer, 44.